Started normal day, and I believe it was sunny out.
It was a heavy chance of rain that day.
I was looking at the weather and noticed that we had something coming in. I thought it was just another storm.
The news flash came on for people to start taking shelter, and I thought, what is going on?
I got a phone call saying the storm was approaching Cedar Rapids, and I needed to contact my guys and get them off the roof.
We kind of heard on the radio that it was coming.
The clouds started building up. All of a sudden, just the birds stopped singing, the breeze stopped, the trees stopped moving, and it was just an ominous feeling. And it was almost like somebody just stopped and took a big breath and held it.
And sirens went off. I was on the west side of my house.
And it got really dark outside and everybody congregated to the front lobby.
Looked outside, saw the dark clouds coming.
Come up quick, no warning, and it...
The wind is what I realized first.
A giant wall of rain started coming.
And then the storm became a little bit stronger, and I noticed that there was insulation from our piles blowing off into the street. So I'm chasing it. It wasn't but maybe a few minutes later I noticed that trees were starting to fall. Roofs were starting to fly. And I knew at that moment this is a little worse than what we anticipated.
We lost power.
And it was around that time where you could look up and see environmental debris and limbs breaking and some environmental debris floating up in the air.
Trees were blowing over, stuff was blowing off the roof, chunks of metal were coming off the building.
The wind and the rain was blowing sideways.
It's a blur of wind and rain, foliage.
But what I saw was your typical peel. Perimeter metal peels up like a tin can or like a pop cap on a can, and once that air gets in, the roofs left the planets. You know, where did they go? They're downstream somewhere.
It was almost like a volcano blast, just everything laid down that way.
I worked for DC Taylor Company for 30 years, and I've never seen anything like this.
I've been with DC Taylor Company for 44 years. I have never experienced anything like this.
It was crazy. I've lived here my whole life and have never experienced anything like it.
I was at Hugo, I was at Katrina, I was at Andrew. I've been on the ground after hurricanes. This is as bad devastation as it gets.
This Derecho, which I had never heard of before, an inland hurricane.
I believe that I took this photo Monday the 10th, the night of, when I came to assess the damage. The only thing I knew about our warehouse was that we had lost about 80 feet of our west wall. And it's really a miracle that the sheet metal didn't fly all over the warehouse with, little to no notice that the derecho was going to hit.
Once it ended, you just go outside and start looking around and seeing what your new reality is.
And you just go, oh my God, what hit Cedar Rapids? I seen trees all over the place down, power lines down, and you're thinking, how in the heck am I gonna get home?
I have been through hurricanes in Florida that weren't this bad.
97% of the roofs, residential, commercial, it didn't matter, were affected in this area.
I have never seen something like this before with the storm and how it just impacted everyone.
Overwhelming, very overwhelming.
Every communication link was out. We had no power. Our internet connections were down. No one could communicate.
So we didn't know what each other was doing.
So it was hard to communicate with people outside of Cedar Rapids area or Iowa City.
It was tough because, HR has to communicate with everybody, and we have offices all around and people working all around the nation. So I was like, how am I gonna communicate with them?
The next day was very chaotic.
We met at the old office.
We ended up meeting outside and having a powwow and using large post-it easel pads to jot down what crew personnel are able to work this morning.
And who could go out and investigate and survey these facilities that had sustained damage.
We were able to start getting, triage and initial repairs.
And then began, focusing on assessing the damage for the business.
So we started going around and repairing repairs that needed done here in town to different buildings and people that really needed our help. It was one job after another.
Obviously, in our industry, there was such a demand for us right away. and trying to get through all the calls and make sure all our customers' needs were met was very important.
We just got phone calls after phone calls of people that needed roofs.
We brought guys in from Chicago and Phoenix to help out.
Every single day we were out, it was very repetitive. Get out, 3 or 4 people on a roof, try and take care of as many like emergency patching as we can, 3 to 4 hours.
There's a lot of people that have a lot of years working here. We relied on all that experience to get us through here.
The teamwork here was just amazing.
Everybody was working together.
People came together throughout the whole community, not just with DC Taylor, but throughout the whole community.
Tremendous camaraderie. I really have to give it to our crew and office personnel who were supporting that endeavor.
You know, when the chips are down, DC Taylor Company comes together as one big family, no matter where you're from. You know, Chicago, California, Arizona, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, we all come together.
I think one of my favorite aspects of working for DC Taylor is definitely the camaraderie here.
It's good people to work with.
It's a family-oriented business. You always have this sense that you're working for a family and you're part of the family.
What I do love about working at DC Taylor is the family environment, the team environment. I know that these are people that I can count on. Brent isn't just running the company. He's not taking care of just himself and his company. He's taking care of all of us. And that has always meant a lot to me.
Our town's still in desperate need. We got a long ways to go. Going into 2021, I think we're all extremely optimistic.